Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, we're going to review all the trades that we have set up and then take a look at some new entries with AGIX, Cardano, VRA, VChain, and FTM. But before we dive on into this, this is not financial advice. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. I am not a financial advisor. And while I appreciate that so many of you are hopping in here from all over the place, you've got to hit that subscribe button. I make price prediction videos every day at 6 a.m. Eastern time on the dot. And I try to make multiple videos a day, try to go live every day, try as much as possible to keep up with this rapidly evolving crypto space. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification button as well so you don't miss a thing. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into this. So an update here. Again, I would strongly recommend that you join as a member. We are going to have our first ever member-only live stream tomorrow. That was the day that I'm making this, March 5th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, United States. If you subscribe as a member and then join our live streams, you can always look back at the live streams. The recordings will be available. If you ask a question in the live streams, I will answer it in the following live stream. So Tuesday of this week, Thursday will be the second live stream. You can have open Telegram communication. If you message me on Telegram, let me know that you're a member, because I get messages from people all the time and I don't know who's a member and who's not. So let me know you're a member so that I actually respond to you. All right. So a couple of things real quick before we dive on into this. We are building the airplane as we're flying, excuse me. I made a mistake, and I want to fully admit I made a mistake. I have several trading principles that I very strongly stick to that's been just good for me as I have grown and developed as a trader. And I was trying to compete with the mindset of this instant gratification that I know many people watching crypto videos have in wanting to give you something that I thought was going to be successful short term. That is not how I operate, and I very much do not operate with a mindset of we should be just YOLOing into long 10x, 20x leverage positions. And so my first video, I recommended a 2x long max for trades that we're looking at in this video. However you decide to do it, that's on you. But I'm going to recommend low leverage. Could we turn it up at this point in time with a high level of conviction that Bitcoin's going to be putting in a new all-time high? That's fine. But that's up to you. My recommendations are going to be low leverage positions. Low being under 5x, but perhaps just 2x, especially if you're new to this. I'm going back to those recommendations in the first video, and the reason why is because of my Pendle call in the previous video. It did not work out as I hoped it would. It has not gotten stopped out yet, but here was my weekend, and I need to not have this on my plate. I have plenty of things to worry about in my life, but I woke up in the middle of the night, Friday night going into Saturday, and I was looking at the Pendle chart, and I just started stressing out. And I was up for 3 hours on Friday night going into Saturday, because I was worried about you. Because I said I was going to open a pretty long levered play on that. And if you opened a 10x, you got liquidated. And so, okay, that's not, I don't think I recommended any amount of leverage, but again, if you opened a 2x levered position on Pendle, or even a 3x or a 4x, I think even a 5x, you'd be perfectly fine right now, because we haven't gotten to the stop loss level. I'm very bullish on Pendle. I have a $57 price target, but I don't want to have to worry about those of you who are going to make these long levered plays based off of my calls. If you want to do that, that's on you. Again, moving forward, that's on you. I take the L for the Pendle call. I'm sorry. We also had some successes, but moving forward, it's on you if you want to make high levered plays. If you want to grow as a trader, this is the key thing with signing up on this channel. Hit the join button below. If you want to grow as a trader and continue to make money throughout the bear market, we can make money going long, we can make money on going short. Well, then this video and this channel membership is for you. If you're a degen, you want only short-term gains, you want to play the 100x longs or whatever, you're insane, you want to use the extreme leverage, just go somewhere else. Okay? This is for a more mature audience. Let's just say that. Okay? So anyway, I want to talk about that. For this video, I want to introduce a very important concept, and that is the idea of a stop loss timeout. And I'm going to show you a couple things from trades that we entered. And this is something I've always done, and I actually do not employ stop loss timeouts. I have manual stop losses, which means I have a price on the chart and I look the 4-hour chart. If it wicks below that stop loss price, I do not have an automatic stop loss set. What I do is if it stays below that stop loss price, that is when I exit. But there is such a thing as a stop loss timeout that will allow you to not lose out on big liquidation wicks. It's huge. It's very important. We're going to talk about that. I want to talk about a warning about what happens when OI gets too high, open interest. And because we are now, as we're getting towards a Bitcoin all-time high, we're seeing open interest heat up. And I want to tell you something, market makers always win. They always win. The people who get into these really high levered positions, absolutely convinced that we're reaching these new heights. Well, you know what? Along the way, there's going to be lots of liquidations because the market makers always win. And so as I'm seeing things, I'm going to show you some charts here in the next slide. We, especially right now, have to be much more conservative in the leverage that we play. Next thing, live stream. Previous live stream, I talked about cryptoleet.com, Lewis Raskin. I'm going to give this a strong recommendation, and you will have a referral code for that. Look in the description of this video where you can get 10% off that course. I bought the course. He's a much better trader than I am. I fully admit that. And I bought it thinking I wouldn't learn a ton. I've learned a lot from him. So check that out. And then, of course, we'll look into some new entries. So here's what I'm pointing out. Here's what I'm looking at when I'm looking at what the concern is with funding, with levered plays. And you can see on the left side of your screen here, you see Shiba Inu, Cardano, Cosmos, AVAX, et cetera, et cetera. And what we have seen since February 2nd is pretty low, just in general, very conservative. As Bitcoin crossed its 53,000, the 702 retrace, which was such a huge level for me, we have seen longing heat up. I have very much increased my leverage, all right? And so what happens when we see the kind of longs that we're seeing being opened right now is, all right, if the price just goes straight up, the market makers, the people on the other side of these trades, they're going to lose, and they never lose. And so what they're going to do is that they're going to cause people longing and shorting to get flushed out in both directions. And so you don't have to worry about that necessarily with a 2x or 3x or a position you're up really big on, but you do have to worry about that with 10x longs or bigger than that. Is that this is going to get reset in some way dramatically at some point. So I don't know when, but at some point we're going to see a long squeeze. Maybe it's after a new Bitcoin all-time high, when literally everyone is bullish, saying that Bitcoin's going to go over $100,000 within the next few weeks or something. Then that would be a fantastic time for them to take advantage of just the fact that we are too long. Open interest in general is heating up dramatically. You know, we went from, where were we, 20 billion or so in early February to we're getting on our way to 35 billion. When that happens, we're going to see violent price action at some point, at some time. And then another person who I follow, he is one of my top 3 that I follow, Emperor BTC. Follow him on X. Here's his thoughts. All-time area will be touched very soon. Then we flush out the leverage. This is when everyone will panic. That will be a generational buying opportunity, time to load up on everything. Now, is he being a little dramatic here? Because I would say generational was November of 2022, and we're not talking about 50% drops here. We're talking about just some kind of violent price move to the bottom, to the downside, that will cause a lot of people in my live stream asking legitimately, like, is this over? Now, those would mostly be new people because it could just be a 20% dip in the entire crypto market or something like that, and it could be very quick. But it's very much on my radar that something like this is going to happen. So please be careful, especially now. So, okay, we looked at all of that. Again, I want to recommend strongly cryptoleet.com. This is a $197 course. If you use my referral code, Alex Costa, ALEXCOSTA, you will get 10% off. I didn't have a referral code until I just mentioned him. I was like, I don't care if you sign up or not, but listen, there's like 40 hours of content on this. If you were to watch one video, you would be absolutely convinced that you made the right choice. Check it out, cryptoelite.com, in the description of this video. Okay, so let's take a review on the positions that we have entered, that I have entered at least. I didn't enter all of these. I didn't enter Caspa or Injective, actually. And I do want to say for both of these, they got stopped out. I posted this immediately after I made my video. When I made my video on February 29th, I rushed into this to get you exposure. And again, I'm going back to the simple terms that I have used to get into new entries. So both of those got stopped out. It is what it is. Even with a stop loss timeout, they got stopped out. Solana looks good. We'll look at that. Pendle's the one on this list that does not look very good right now, but it's still plenty above the stop loss. I don't think it's going to get down to that stop loss. We'll see. STX, the graph filled beautifully. Solana filled beautifully. We're going to take a look at STX so you can see what a stop loss timeout looks like and the way that it prevented me from losing a lot of money. And on Caspa and Injective, this also happened, but then they eventually went back down. So a stop loss timeout, you can see here, and the market makers have the books. They know where our stop losses are, okay? So you just got to be mindful of this. You can see here that there was this wick. And when was this wick? This wick was on Friday night, early Saturday morning, the wick below the stop loss. I did not get stopped out because I'm doing this manually, but stop loss timeout. What would happen is on a 4-hour chart. We're on a 4-hour chart. Yeah. What would happen is it wouldn't automatically exit your position. What it would do is wait to see if it bounces up, if it bounced up and got back into your safe zone before taking a stop, filling your stop. So yeah, there is some risk to the downside, but usually what happens when there's a violent move down to your stop loss position is that it's a violent move right back up, that it's a manipulated move to get you to exit your position. And so STX, it went up very well. It's right back down a little bit higher than my entry point. I did have this in the spreadsheet before, but I decided I'm bullish on STX, especially being a Bitcoin layer 2. As Bitcoin's rising, that STX is going to be just fine. So I did not move my stop loss back to the entry price. I thought about it. I'm not going to do that. I would not recommend, not financial advice anyway, moving back to the entry price. I think that we're going to move higher. But stop loss timeout would have prevented that. So what is a stop loss timeout? It is exactly what I said. Where can you get a stop loss timeout? There's only one place that I know, and it's this website, 3commas.io. I don't have that here on the screen, but 3commas.io, if you sign up for that, you will be able to use a stop loss timeout. Again, I do it manually. Maybe that's crazy that I have to check every 4 hours. I really check every 8 hours or so. But I'm willing to do that because of the platforms that I use are not available on 3 commas, but there's lots of platforms that are available. So check that out, 3commas.io. The same thing happened with Injective and Caspa. It wicked below and then bounced up, but eventually the price came down and then it got stopped out. My big loser from the last video that I made is Pendle. I talked about that. I expressed a lot of conviction that $3.31 would be, or $3.39 would be the place to long. Looking at this, it doesn't seem likely to me, especially if we see the 200 period EMA move above this zone here, the stop loss zone, that we would see Pendle lose. I'm still incredibly bullish on Pendle. Sure, we'll put in some kind of a lower high before our next move up. I will probably consider reopening a position on Pendle if it even does get stopped out. So, all right, that's a loss. We're going to have wins and losses. Solana, the graph, it played out perfectly. And so looking at Solana here, Look at those 2 wicks right below our entry. The stop loss is way down here. It seems unlikely, very unlikely that we would get down to that stop loss level. So we are well on our way. I did say ride it with this one. And that's my general mindset with Solana, is that we're going to move much higher and we're ready to enter the next level. The graph, same deal with the graph. The graph filled perfectly. Again, that liquidation wick. When was that, by the way? That was Friday night going into Saturday morning. It was 3 a.m. Eastern time, United States. That is manipulation by the market makers to get the stops out and to liquidate some longs. So perfect. We got it filled on that order. And right now, again, this one's on its way back down to retest our entry. I had in my notes here on the trading spreadsheet that we should move our stop loss to that level, but I changed my mind on that. The only one that I have that mindset now with is AGIX. That because of how overbought AGIX has been. This was a trade I have not talked about in a video, but I did put it in the spreadsheet. And one of you messaged me right after I put it in the spreadsheet. So I did put that in the spreadsheet, and it got filled very quickly. Okay, so the graph, I'm not worried about this wicking below. I'm not worried about it going through the lower level. It is generally good to move your stop loss up as the price rises, but right now I'm willing to take that risk and to wait. I think it's very much likely that we're going to see the top of this range hit and not at the stop loss level. Okay, so AGIX, just already talked about that. The long is set, and maybe it's going to go back down to the stop loss, to the entry point. But what I want to say about AGIX too is I already exited this long because, you can see it just barely missed the take profit point. At that point, you should take profits. I mean, the risk to reward, because that's the top of a range. So the risk to reward changes dramatically at that level to where there's so little that you have to gain by squeezing that last bit out. And so that's what I did. I've already exited this position. And so this is counted as a win for me on my chart. All right, so that is enough of the reviews. Let's talk about some new entries here. What you're going to see, a theme with these new entries, is again moving back to a previous mindset of there's a couple things here. Number one, dinosaur cryptos, not dinosaur, older cryptos, but yeah, some of them are dinosaur cryptos. This is the play right now. We are seeing these older cryptocurrencies catch up and starting to make their moves, which is exactly what I've been talking about for the last few weeks, because when you're thinking about retail returning, when you're thinking about your grandma, your Uber driver, your barber, my big three of the people who talk about crypto only during euphoria, what are they going to buy? They're going to buy the cryptos that they're familiar with, or cryptos that they bought last time around. And so Cardano, I think, is a fantastic play. VRA, VChain, FTM, those are all older cryptocurrencies. And so Cardano, I have a mix here with my trades of a mindset of what happens with this scenario where we flush out the leverage. Cardano is a much more conservative trade. Do I think we're going to get here? I'm not sure. I'm 50-50, maybe a little bit less than 50-50. But this is going to be a fantastic fill if we see Cardano rise dramatically. I'm going to keep this open. I'm not canceling out on the spreadsheet for several days. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a dramatic wick down to this level here. It's 0.7091. And then if that doesn't hold, the next level down, 0.6785. I'm not worried about 0.6785. 0.7091 is my entry. Is that the exact entry in Cardano? It should say, oh yeah, I put the wrong one in the spreadsheet. I'll fix that after this video. 7091. VRA is another one that I would say is in this scenario where we see leverage flushed out. I would expect VRA to get down to this level. And then what I really like about this entry is that if for some reason that level doesn't hold, then this next level, 0.0092, that one should very much hold. This is a chart. If I were to zoom out to the weekly, which I'm not going to do right now, this has a lot of historical confluence. And so again, entry at 0.01156 or so. That's the entry. That is in a worst case scenario where leverage gets flushed really hard. That's about where I could see it entering. I'm going to be patient with that one as well. Now, VeChain is much more aggressive because VeChain, I'm going to show you a couple things. Well, first of all, at the chart, you can see resistance, 4-hour chart. This level right here, again, lots of historical confluence, was resistant, and now it's holding as support. My expectation is that it's going to hold as support. Now, do we have another opportunity to get into it at this exact point? I would think so. So what's this point? It's 0.04813. And on the spreadsheet, I have it a little higher than that, 0.0483. And so VeChain, that should, you know, if we're going to have another move up soon, that should be a great level to buy in. Maybe I should lower the stop loss. No, here's what I'm thinking with the stop loss is that the 200 period EMA is going to be perfect support, fantastic support if we see some kind of a flush out. That's why I have the stop loss a little bit lower than the 200 period EMA. So VeChain, that's one that you might be able to get in on pretty soon. FTM, here's an aggressive one. It's already filled from where I put my order. It's a little bit lower than that. And so what was I thinking with FTM was we see evidence of a swing pattern failure here. We see retest, breakthrough of the zone, breakthrough of this historic support. It's from way back in 2021. Breakthrough, retest, third retest, and then perhaps we're going to see a next leg up. But then the thing that I really like about this FTM long is the fact that I'm able to put the stop loss below two significant levels of support that go back historically as well. And so for the thought being here, if we were to lose this level of support, if this is more than just a swing pattern failure and we're going to lose it pretty heavily, then the next level down is going to be a fantastic entry. And if for some reason we lost that, which would be shocking to me, this next level down right here, it's not the likelihood that we would go down that far. It's so unbelievably unlikely given just all the support that we have there. So there's a lot of support below us. And then the stop loss is right below there. So I really like this entry as kind of like all right, you want to get your feet wet. Maybe we're rushing into this a little bit, but you want to get your feet wet with a long, a low leverage long, by the way, then FTM would be a good one. Another thought, so LCX, I'm curious about LCX. I just drew this trend line here. I've talked about in previous videos, will LCX put in a higher low than this 22-cent bottom? There's evidence that I've talked about 22 cents as being the entry to make for LCX. We broke through this downtrend here. I do believe that that is a breakthrough of the downtrend. And so it would make sense to me that we would start a new uptrend. And so LCX is right about there. Perhaps that's the case. If not, then I will in an upcoming video talk about LCX as an option for getting in at 22 cents again. But my guess is that we are starting a new uptrend with LCX. So this one would be a good one to get into. This is not a trade that was filled. It's one that I canceled out in my first video as the price went too high. So that is all I have for looking at the charts. I hope you gained value, but I do want to remind you, NordVPN, you can click the link, the referral link in my video, in the description of my video here, and you can refer, you can get 3 months free, and then you could refer friends all you want. So we would both get 3 free months of NordVPN. And then also the reason why I would recommend that is I'm hooked up to NordVPN right now, and I am signed up to trade on BingX. I trade on lots of platforms, but BingX, there's a lot of rewards. For those of you who sign up for BingX, you can grab up to $5,000 of USDT rewards. You get your first, you get a sign-up bonus, a first deposit bonus, a first trade bonus. There's lots and lots of incentives to sign up for BingX. I strongly recommend looking at that as well. But all right, without further ado, that's what I say at the beginning of the video. That is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification button for more content like this. Otherwise, I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.